So about 3 or 4 days ago, I picked these garlics, and as you can see, even though I picked it without a scape grew anyway. These are scapes that can be eaten, like stir-fried, just a vegetable. They have a really mild, sweet taste. You only get scapes on hardneck garlic, and that's what I've got, all hardneck. They almost look like a swan's neck, but when they look like this, they're good to eat. And you can just break them off down here, just where the leaves join, like that. That one looks nice and juicy. Smell the garlic. They can be eaten raw. These are actually a little bit woody. I'm not going to finish that one, I'm quite tangy. When they go like this, I'll break this one off to show you. You can see all the little buds of the flower starting to come. So if I peel that back, you'll see what I mean. And then it's already starting to form and it gets a little bit woody inside. I'm sure you can still eat them, but I tend not to. So the reason I picked them was I wanted to see how mature they were and if they were ready for harvesting. And they were. However, there were other jobs to be done. And then we actually got some rain. That is the sound of raindrops. 9.6 millimeters to be precise. And of course I have to wait for that to dry a little bit before I can continue and take these out. So if you remember way back in October when I planted these are the biggest garlics that we saved. And we will get those 300 bulbs in, 300 cloves. I said I was going to plant 300. Truth is, I never really got round to the 300. I think I'm still at about the 200 mark. So we'll see how we do today. Now, these garlics were planted at that time and they have never been watered or weeded since. And we'll see how they've done. It's one of the few things that requires almost zero effort because it takes care of itself during the winter. So we'll see. Now the thing about garlic, it doesn't pop the bulb up out of the soil like an onion does. So the only way to find out is to dig or to poke them out. And actually, you might think you want to pull them, but they're usually very stiff, very firmly in the ground, and you don't want to damage the little roots, because once you break that seal where the base of the onion or the base of the garlic, they don't store. So we're just going to pop a fork in here and tease it out. There we go. So it's not huge, this one, but it's complete and it's in good condition. Growing a scape again. Maybe I'll just keep some of these, throw them in the dinner. So it's got 1, 2, 3, the bottom 4 leaves, 5, 6 leaves are already brown, which is a bit late, but they're fine. Beautiful roots. Just sort of ease them up so we don't destroy the basal plate. Perfect. Maybe I could leave these a little while, but if you leave them too long, they split and then you can't store them. So when I say split, I mean that the bulbs separate. And these look fine. So I'm just shaking off the excess mud. And there's not much sign of damage from the dreaded voles. So ideally I would have said these are a little too far gone, but the bulbs haven't really fattened up. That could be simply because there was no rain in April, when these were probably at their peak time for fattening up the bulbs. It would be really nice if Dan was here to help with the harvest, but he's working. Just Okay, you can see how this one's starting to split just ever so slightly. Now, as for the voles last year, what did I do to save myself from voles? Nothing. Just got lucky this year. Well, you probably heard the thunder. It's got really warm. It's probably warmed up another 2 or 3 degrees. And though I might be wearing trousers, you think it's cold. It's not really. It's just I'm going to be kneeling. I don't normally kneel and I don't like my dirty knees. But there's the wind. And I'm just going to see if I can get this bed cleared out. And I was hoping to get to the bigger garlics, but we'll do with these for now. And I need to get home before the lightning and thunder starts. So I'm just going to keep on going. Now, I don't know what the variety of any of these garlics are because nobody else seems to know either. It's just treasure trove of surprises. Do you have a favourite variety of garlic? Because I've also discovered the garlic grows almost everywhere in the world, but there are different varieties adapted to different climates. Yeah, again, really lovely and big, but losing their cover. So I'll probably give these to a few friends, lovely as they are. Not just the friends, but the beautiful garlics as well. Yeah, way more mulch, as you can see. The ground is damp. The other bed that I did earlier is bone dry. I think we got about 9 months out of our garlic this year. No, that's a lie. We got about 6 months. Little Nigella waving around here. I just love waving plants and stroking them. Little bit too long in the ground, but as I always say, there's always next year. Stuck the fork into this So the rain didn't come, nor did the lightning. But before I harvest the last bed, just taking 5 minutes. You can probably see we've got quite a lot of garlic. And if you're wondering what on earth are we going to do with all that garlic? Well, let me remind you that Dan is vegetarian and he does a lot of the cooking and every meal has garlic in it. We could use 2 or 3 bulbs a week, which would add up to 150 garlic bulbs a year. And then if we need to plant them again, we need about another 80 to 100. And then of course I have to allow for losses and stabbing one with a fork, letting them stay in the ground too long, picking them too early, and I need some to share as well. These are onions that I've let go to seed because I love how the flowers open up. Bees and other pollinators love them. And I just like the shape of the seed heads. Final one of 2023. Not a good one. 10. Maybe bunches of 10. I'll just use this raffia again, as I've mentioned before. So I'm going to hang them all up and dry them. I'm not going to worry too much about which are the good ones and which aren't, because in a couple of weeks I'll be examining these again before I braid them. Well, I probably won't braid them. The hard necks don't braid so well, but I'll plait them like I did last year. I'll show you that braiding technique on YouTube, because that's where you find all the best stuff. And that's the last one. There's 100 in here. 80, 90, 100. 10, 20. So 250 is my total for 2023. Hopefully that will see us through the year.